Welcome back. Amazing, dedicated student and persistent that is learning Hebrew. You are on the fast track. This is lesson 3, and we have learned so much already, and we've got a lot to do today. Now, I have very beautiful artwork for you today on the screen. Check it out. Love it. And know it, because this is an award-winning artwork where I give the award to myself. That is a lie. I do not do that. And that's also pompous. A joke. It's gone. We got a lot of work to do today, but first we're going to review. I hope that you have been studying your letters, your 5 to 7 days. Letter, please. Bet. Vav. Little tiny letter. Yud. Daled. Gimel. Hey. Het. Ah, beautiful letter. Bet. You know this one. Aleph. What about this vowel? What's the name of it? It is called the Holem. And what about if I place this under the letter, sorry. That is a kamatz. Kamatz. And what if I do this? That is a patah. And one more. What if I do that? That is a shuruk. Shuruk. Beautiful. Let's clear the screen and get ready to learn. Okay. Now, today's lesson, we're going to learn a special letter that is guttural. It's special in many ways. Number one, remember that I told you earlier on that sometimes a letter can branch out into 4 different letters. Well, this is the time. We have come to that time where our letter that we're going to learn is going to branch out into 4 different letters. And it's also going to be guttural, and it's also going to be something called a sofit. Sofit. We're going to learn all of that, so don't worry about it. We're going to start with the first things first. I've just given you a little recap of what's happening today, or a little intro, better said. The first letter that we're going to learn, since you're so intelligent and on the fast track, is the letter chaf. 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 Okay, now notice the way I'm saying this letter. This letter does not exist in the English language, neither does this sound. It does exist in the Spanish language. It is produced in the back of the throat, so it is the chaf. If you cannot reproduce the sound, try your best, keep trying at it. You'll be able to get it eventually. Hopefully you will. If not, don't worry about it. But just know that this is not called a chaf, rather it is called a chaf. And try as best as you can to get close to it. Okay, like I said, this letter doesn't exist in the English language. It's something that you have to learn. It's not something that you've learned from when you were a child. And this is the way the chaf is produced, or written, better said. Kind of like a bet, and it has 2 rounded edges. 2 rounded edges. Okay, one over here, one over here. They're both rounded. That is the chaf. No dot inside of it. No dot inside of it. Now, we've already learned before that a letter that is dotted has a shorter sound. A letter that doesn't have a dot, with the dotted and non-dotted letters, have a longer sound. So this has no dot. It is a chaf. Chaf, okay? Let's do that again. One more time for you. Chaf. Okay, and now you're going to go ahead and get your paper and pencil, paper and pencil, paper and pen. I don't know why I say pencil. I never use pencils. Chaf. And if you're writing on lined paper, so you can get an idea, it's going to be in between the lines. Chaf. And go ahead and sound out each time you write a letter. Chaf. Take your time. You're in the fast track, so you can go slow. You know why I call this course a fast track, right? Because you're learning more letters at a time. The slower track is my other video course, which is one letter at a time. I'll switch to black. Chaf. Make a few more of those. Chaf. Chaf. It's enjoyable, no? To write these letters, just to repeat them, and it could be therapeutic. What do you think? Okay, that's our chaf. Chaf. Okay? Now, if we take the same letter, and we put a dot inside of that letter, it's going to become a kaf. Okay? And this letter I can write because it has a k sound, So kaf. And obviously it's going to be, as I mentioned before, since it's a dotted and non-dotted. Dotted, non-dotted mean that same letter can either have a dot or no dot. If we take the same letter, which is our chaf, and we put a dot inside of it, it is going to now be a kaf. Kaf. The kaf, remember the dot shortens the sound, okay? I will repeat myself quite often because I want to make sure that that information goes inside your brain. Goes inside your brain. Let's get the info in the brain. So when it comes time to recall these letters when you're reading, you've got it. Kaf. Okay? Let's go ahead and write kaf. Kaf. Go ahead and start writing. If you're in the lined paper, it's the same thing as the chaf. It's going to fit in between the two lines. Go ahead and sound it out. Kaf. 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 Spend another few seconds. One more. I hope you're practicing these on a daily basis, your 5 to 7 minutes, so that you can, again, record them in your brain. Okay, so here's the kaf. Okay, now the letters that we just learned, the chaf and the kaf. Okay, we learned the chaf and we learned the kaf. Check this out. Chaf is done this way and kaf is done this way. We're going to take this bottom part of each one of these letters, and we're going to turn them so that we form this letter. This one has a dot. This one does not have a dot. Now, these are called sofit. Sofit is written like this. This is the chaf sofit, and this is the kaf sofit. Again, sofit means that it only goes at the end of a word, never in the beginning or anywhere in between, always at the end of the word. By the same token, the words that require a sofit are not going to have, in our example here, are not going to have a kaf, a chaf, or a kaf. Okay? So if the word requires or if the word ends in a chaf or a kaf, it's not going to have this one nor this one. It's always going to have this or this. Okay? And yes, we can attach vowels to these. We're going to see how that works later on. Okay? Okay, so since we started with the chaf at the beginning, we're going to do the chaf sofit now. Okay? Chaf sofit. Chaf sofit. Go ahead in your notebook. And if you have a lined paper or a lined spiral bound notebook, your chaf sofit is going to go from the same amount as before. It's going to turn and it's going to keep going. Okay, it's going to extend your bottom line. Okay, this goes into your bottom zone. Let's say, want to call it the zone? You can call it the zone. That's a nice way of putting it. Chaf sofit. Chaf sofit. Chaf sofit. And as I said before, we can attach vowels to them. Okay? We can attach vowels to them. In this case, since this is a chaf sofit and it has a kamatz, which has the sound of an a or an a, this is cha, cha. Okay? And there are words, many words obviously, that end or terminate in cha. They're usually masculine words, just FYI, not that it's really within the scope of this course, but just write a few more chaf sofits without this. That was just, again, FYI. And chaf sofit, let's see, I can put my chaf sofits here. Chaf sofit. Let's do one more. Chaf sofit. Beauty. Okay, and now let's switch over to the next letter, which is already known to us. It is the, what do you think it is? If you said kaf sofit, you are absolutely correct. Remember that sofit means end. It only goes at the end. And the kaf sofit is the same exact as the chaf sofit, except it has a dot inside of it. By the way, I paused so you can answer. Probably figured that out. Kaf sofit. And remember the dot cuts the sound of the letter. It is now a shorter sounding letter. Kaf sofit. And the kaf sofit only appears in what part of the word? At the end of the word. I can hear you. Yes, at the end. Kaf sofit. This is fun. I enjoy this too. Kaf sofit. Kaf sofit. Okay, in today's lesson, like I said, we have a lot of stuff to learn. So we're going to learn actually another sofit letter. There's your kaf sofit. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next letter. Fun, right? Actually, before we move on, let's just quickly recap. Review. If you don't remember, it's okay. And if you want to look at your notes, it's also okay. What letter is that? Chaf. And if I add a dot to it, shortens the sound to kaf. Chaf sofit. And kaf sofit. Okay? Special letters. Sofit. Excellent. We're moving on to the next letter. And the next letter is called a lamed. 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 And it has an L sound. Like an L. Just like an L. Okay? And the lamed, I like the lamed too. I think it's kind of an elegant letter. You may or may not agree with me. If we have lined paper, let's do that. If we have lined paper, now watch closely. The lamed is going to start above the top left-hand corner. Above the top left-hand corner. So this is your left-hand corner, right? Over here. So your lamed is going to begin above that which is a line that comes down, makes a right hand 90-degree turn. It's going to start curving to get to here. Okay? I like that letter. I think it's an elegant letter. Let's do it again. Lamed. Make a right. Go down a little bit. And then make a curve in order to end up here. That's not a very good straight line, is it? Okay? More or less, to end up there. That's what you want. Let's do it outside of the boundaries of the line. Play with it. Make it beautiful. I like the lamed. Okay? Okay. Let us go back to our canvas. Our pen or paper and pencil, or pen and paper. Lamed. That's the name. Lamed. Sound it out. Lamed. Lamed. L sound. Lamed. Doesn't have to be perfect, okay? Sorry for any background noise. Motorcycles, buses, people honking. It's like past 5 o'clock, so, or a little bit past 5, so people are going home. And remember, the bottom of these letters are falling on the line. I'm going all over the place because I have my word, my lamed over here, but you're really supposed to be in between these lines here. There we go. Or I can actually just do it in red. Okay, there's your lamed. Pretty. Lamed. Let's introduce another letter. Okay, you ready for this? You are on the fast track. The next letter that we're going to introduce is the mem. Mem splits into 2 letters. Mem is a regular letter, and it's also a sofit. Do you remember what a sofit is? A sofit is only a letter that goes at the end. Let's deal with the regular mem first. Okay, the mem is another interesting letter to write. I like writing the mem. I think it's another pretty letter, like the tet. Okay, and the mem has an M sound. Like mama. Just watch, okay? We can make it just like that. And like this. See that? And then you put like a little hand waving. It has an opening here, obviously. Yeah, it has a little opening here. This can align perfectly. And then it's in between your lines here. This would be in between your lines, okay? The mem does go in between the lines. It's unlike the lamed that extends outside of the top part of the line, and the chaf that extends on the bottom, okay? Let's do that again. Pretty lamed. Switch. Okay. Pretty. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay? Don't let it intimidate you. You can do this. And it's only difficult, quote unquote, at the beginning. When you don't know. When you know, it's no longer difficult. Mem, let's write the name. Let's write some mems. Very nice. Mem, sound it out. Mem, sound it out. Try a few more, okay? You're doing fantastic. Like a little mountain, right? M, mountain. There's one for you. Mem. And remember that it's open, just like that, okay? Perfect. That's the mem. Now let's learn the sofit part of the mem. Sofit part of the mem. Okay? And it's called, it has a first name and a last name. Okay? The sofits all have a last name. And guess what their last name is? The last name is sofit. Okay. So sofit means end. And again, this letter is only going to occur at the end, and it still has the same exact sound, which is the sound, the mem. Mem is the sound. It's going to fit in between your two lines as well, just like the mem did. It's going to begin. It's going to begin a little bit past your top left-hand corner. 90 degrees, 90 degrees, and you're going to stop short. And it's going to have a little bit of an extra piece right here. Okay? It's not going to be square. The mem is going to stop short, and it's going to have a little extra piece sticking out. Just like our dalit did. Remember our dalit? Our dalit is like this. It has a little piece sticking out here. So the mem has the same thing, but on the opposite side. Okay? Mem sofit. Let's do another mem sofit. Let's do one here. Mem sofit. A little bit sticking out. That's all. Let's do some mem sofits. Okay? And write the name, the first name, and the last name. Mem sofit. And remember, in between your two lines, it's going to be mem sofit. Okay? Mem sofit. I've taught these methods, these letters to so many people. And the nice thing about video is you can just go back and review it, And if you ever want to go back and review a single letter, you can review it in my other course. Oh, look at this. Looks like 4 boxes, 4 squares. Cool, no? Take another few seconds to write mem sofit. There's your mem sofit. Let's switch to something else now, okay? Remember I said that today's lesson is going to be pretty intense. So we're now going to switch over to a vowel, which is actually 2 vowels. Let me erase this for you. Okay? And I'm going to start by saying, you're going to say, Israel has gone crazy. What is he doing? What is he doing? Well, I'm making eyes and I'm making nose. Eyes and nose. Okay? Very important. Remember the eyes and nose. The eyes and nose are going to be the next set of vowels that we're learning. And both of these have an e sound. E. A long e sound. Not e, but e. Let's break each one down. And I gave them to you together because they have the same exact sound. So I think it makes it a little bit easier. The first one that we're going to learn are the eyes. And the eyes are called the tsere. Tsere. And if X represents a letter, the tsere, which are the eyes, is going to be on the bottom of the letter. The bottom of the letter. It doesn't go anywhere else but the bottom of the letter. Okay, this is a tsere and it has an e sound. It's a vowel that has an e sound. A vowel that has an e sound. Okay, there's your tsere. Okay, let's just write it down. And we're going to write it down first with a few X's, just to kind of get used to it. Let's write the name first. Tsere. Let's write it with X's. The X represents the letter, as you already know. And then we're going to do something a little bit more fun. Go ahead, do a few X's and sound it out. E, E, E. One more. Okay, that one. Beautiful. Okay, now you're gonna keep writing though. I'm just gonna write today again over here. Today. Now, do me a favor and write down a bet with a tere on the bottom. A bet with a tere on the bottom. And remember that it has an e sound. It has an e sound. Bet. Here we go. Beep. Out in the middle. With a tere on the bottom. It has an e sound. And please sound that out for me. And that makes the sound of be. Be. Now, write for me, please, a hey with a tere on the bottom. A hey. Probably should have waited a little bit. Sorry about that. I get excited too, you know. Okay? And now sound that out. He. He. Now write for me, please, a yud with a tere on the bottom. A yud with a tere on the bottom. If you've got that, you are correct. And write for me, please, a dalid with a tere on the bottom. A dalid with a tere on the bottom. If you've got this, you are correctio. Let's do one more. Write for me, please, a tet with a tere on the bottom. A tet with a tere on the bottom. Here we go. Disconnects. There it is. Beautiful. If you didn't get every letter, you need to go back and review, and it's okay if you didn't get every letter. Okay? We're going to move on to the next vowel. The next vowel, which is the nose, which is the nose. And the nose looks like a nose, and it's called the segol. Segol. The first one is called the tere. This one is called the segol. And if we have an X representing a letter, then the segol looks like this. It just has a nose. That's all. That's all it is. Okay? Now don't let anything frustrate you, okay? With time and practice and review, you're going to get everything. I know that each lesson that we do, there's obviously more stuff that we learn. But as long as you're keeping up your practice 5 to 7 minutes a day, you know, every day or at least every other day for about 5 to 7 days, you're okay. You're going to get this, okay? Let's practice some segols. And we're going to practice with X's first, just like we did the last one. Segol. Segol. X marks a spot. Segol, segol, segol. X. Segol. Sound it out. Segol. 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 And write one more. And if you've already wrote it, then just wait for me. Segol. Okay? Now let's do the same thing as we did before. Okay? Let's do some letters. I'm just going to rewrite segol over here. You obviously don't have to rewrite it. Okay? Write for me, please, a zayin with a segol on the bottom. A zayin with a segol on the bottom. 1, 2, 3. Write for me, please, a bet with a segol on the bottom. A bet with a segol on the bottom. Write for me, please, a gimel with a segol on the bottom. A gimel. And write for me, please, a dalet. Just a dalet. just a dalet. If you've got this, then when you have this word over here, if you just see this, if you can sound that out for me, please. What is that? What sound does that make, or what? How do you say that word? It is said beged, beged, and beged means an article of clothing or clothing, either one. Okay, let's do a few more. Write for me, please, a het with a segol on the bottom. A het. Het. 1, 2, 3. And one more. Write for me, please, a yud with a segol on the bottom. A yud. Okay. Perfecto. Let's review. What have we learned today so far? We have learned the letter. What letter is that? That is supposed to be a dotted letter, so that's your hint. But it's got no dot. So it is a long-sounded letter. A chaf. Chaf. Guttural letter reproduced in the back of the throat. Chaf. How about this? That is a chaf sofit. What about this letter? That is a lamed. Lamed. How about that one? It's supposed to connect, sorry. That is called a mem. Mem. And one more. That is a kaf sofit. Okay? Just reviewed a few of them. Okay, I want to do one more letter with you. Just one more. Okay? And this one letter is going to branch out into two. Do not roll those eyes. Do not roll those eyes. This one's easy. They're all easy. Okay. This last letter that we're going to do is called the nun. Nun. And the nun has an n sound. N, like an N. Okay, so it's not an N, obviously, but it has an N sound. And the nun is written this way. If we have our two lines, the nun is going to be in between those two lines. It's got a short or small roof, 90-degree turn down, and just like that. Okay, it's a small letter. It's like a bracket, kind of, you know. The nun. The nun. Now, this part can extend a little bit more than, oops, that's not what I wanted. This part can extend a little bit more than this part. So in other words, the bottom part can be a little bit longer than the top part. It looks a little bit more artistic. Okay, let's do a few nuns. Nuns. Write the name. Nun. Nun. A little bit extended. Nun. 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 I think my nuns are getting bigger each time I make a letter. Try to keep them uniform. Just so they are aesthetically pleasing. You could even make it with a little bit of a smaller roof or head if you want to call it. I don't know. Do a few more nuns. Nun. Nunni. Nunni, nunni, nunni. That one's long. Here we go. Here we go. That's a nun. One more. Finish it up. Okay, that's the nun. Okay, and we're going to do one more. That's your nun. We're going to do one more. And as you guessed, I told you that the nun branches off into two, and it's called the nun. What do you think the last name is if it branches off into a last letter? Do you remember the name? Sofit. Sofit. Nun Sofit. Now, remember we took the chaf and we took the bottom part and we twisted it down and we went, "Arr." We twisted it. We're going to do the same thing with the nun. This is the nun, right? We're going to take this part over here, and we're going to twist it and turn it down and go, "Arr." And we're going to take this nun and make it like this. Okay? The nun looks like this. If you have lined paper, your nun is going to look like this. That's it. Now, do you see the potential problem when you have too long of a roof? What does that look like? That looks like a chaf, right? In fact, it is a chaf. So if it's too long, it's going to be a chaf. If it's too short, it's going to be a nun sofit. I'm sorry, I meant to say chaf sofit. If it's too short, it's going to be a nun sofit. If it's too long, it's going to be a chaf sofit. Okay? So this is a nun sofit, the last letter that we have for today. So let's write that one down. This is a nun sofit. Nun sofit. And remember, with your line paper, it's going to extend beyond the bottom line. So if I have line paper, small roof, and down. And what we did was we took the nun that we did, that second 90-degree turn, we just turned it down. Nun. Say it out loud. Nun. Nuni, nuni, nuni. You know where that comes from? I'm not going to say. Nun. Nun. Running out of space here. Nun. Nuni. One more. Nun. Nun sofit. Yay. Wow, we have learned so much today. I mean, we did. Let's see if you remember. And if you don't remember, it's okay. We're doing a review. Chaf. Chaf sofit. We also did put a dot inside of it. It's the kaf. Kaf sofit. We also did this letter. Lamed. Mem. This one has a last name. Mem sofit. We also did the tzere, and we did the segol, and finally we did the nun, and the nun sofit. Okay, these are all the letters that we did today. A lot of stuff to review. Take your time, review everything, do it nicely. Don't worry about it being perfect. Come back to the next class when you feel that you're ready. Again, within 5 to 7 days. And if you have a great, fantastic memory, fantastic. As I said before, just come back earlier and move on to the next session or the next lesson. And you're going to do great. We're going to start building on more words in the next session. So we're going to have more fun. Okay? Thank you so much for being with me. And as I always say, like yo, subscribe yo, and share yo, so that other people can benefit. Thank you so much for being with me. I really enjoy this time that we have together. Shalom.